Okay. Hello, everyone. My name's Sugi Yamagawa, and today on VTubing My Slow Life Hobbies in My 30s, we're going to be making green bean dumpling soup, which is actually a recipe I got from my seed catalog. So this is the actual recipe right here. It's pretty simple. Seems simple, seems straightforward. I'm optimistic I won't mess it up, but yeah. I actually got this from my seed catalog from last year. Good evening. Hello, hello. Welcome in. I hope you're having a good evening. Hopefully not as terribly rushed as mine has been. Because everything leading up to stream today has been like one thing after the next, at least as far as like being busy. It's been very busy around here, which coincidentally, one of the reasons why it's been very busy. Well, there's quite a few reasons. But reason number one, and I kind of do want to show it off, is I actually got a new garage door. And yeah, I am really excited about it because they did the install yesterday, but they forgot trim. It's been hot, yeah. After work plans got canceled, so I'm setting up game stuff for a friend later tonight. Ah, nice, very nice. But yeah, so he had trim stuff to like finish up and came by to do that. And this was like around 5 o'clock-ish. And I hadn't fully put up like all my streaming equipment simply because of the work being done, because it's here, which coincidentally, enough talking about the thing. Time to show off the thing. But yeah, that's the thing. Please ignore the other aspects of the setup. But yeah, this is my brand new garage door. It's white. It's not tobacco stained like the past one was, because my dad did a lot of smoking here. And one of the big things I'm gonna see if this motivates me to do is actually repaint the shop, because I cannot wash the walls to save my life. I can't wash. I've actually tried really hard to clean the old one. No luck, no moss. But I got something that's nice, lets in a lot of natural light. Also, another reason why I went for something of this sort of style is you can't see my garage from the street. You're pretty great. yeah. But I grew up in the yeah. But like, that's one of the things why I'm okay with this is you can't see the garage door from the street. You can kind of tell if you're really looking, but someone would have to be very nefarious to get this far in. So at that point, they were probably going to break in anyway. At that point. But yeah, but I am really looking forward to having like nice natural light in here, which is really nice. Also, it's just also really nice to just see the garden from here, even though it's seen better days. The garden is once again the thing that's happening to it. It's the same thing that happens every year. The summer months come around, I get really busy at work, and yeah, I just end up atrociously busy, and I don't have time to weed, and I don't like weed. Which actually, speaking about being really busy, is I was really busy yesterday. The big thing that actually took a lot of my time yesterday was picking blackberries, because blackberries are in season now. And I picked a few blackberries Friday evening. Thank you for coming in, Mangaga 2168. But yeah, we're talking about new garage door, and also I'm going to be slightly ranting about how many blackberries I got to pick, because I spent like 2 hours yesterday picking blackberries. Granted, I got like 11 pounds of blackberries, which is a pretty good haul. But I still have one more, like, so I've got like 3 main rows of blackberries. I did the 2 main ones, and then I have a third that's kind of needs work, but it's there, and that's the last one I gotta do. So I didn't get around to the third one last night. And I also was real busy getting stuff for, well, I had to run up to the supermarket to get stuff for stream. But yeah, new garage door, nice quality of life thing. Very excited about it. I also bought it from the Costco. So one of the benefits of getting it from the Costco is I will actually get a shop. I'll get like a gift card at some point. Looks sounds like a good haul at least. Oh man, like an incredibly good haul. Like that's the thing. We're in like, well, I'm in peak blackberry season. I am very much in peak blackberry season. And I need to get all this stuff. So we're gonna get started with the good old boring fun stuff of peeling potatoes. But yeah, so I've got Kirtland represent. Yes, yes. We're Kirtland fans around here. Granted, I do like calling out, like anytime I use like Kirtland brand products on stream, I always call it out. Granted, we're not really using any Kirtland brand products today. I think really the only thing I'll be using today that came from Costco will be the baking soda, because I bought baking soda from Costco, and that might be a mistake because that's a lot of baking soda. It's like a 12-pound. Is it 12? It's like a 12 or 10-pound bag, which is a lot of baking soda for a household of 1, especially a household of 1 that does not have pool. But I'm a firm believer in the best way to have a pool is to have a friend who has a pool. And I have a friend who has a pool, so I don't need to have a pool. Also, I don't want to take a pool. I don't take care of a pool because I already have enough things in my life to take care of, and I don't want to add another thing onto it. Because, yeah, my life is too busy as is, and I really don't want to add to it. And like taking care of stuff, like today I spent like an hour at the dentist because I had, well, actually speaking of guy with pool, I was actually at said friend's house about ready to enjoy his pool, and then he's like, hey buddy, one of your teeth doesn't look too good. But that was then, and then it actually cleared up. I think it was just like stained from tea or something. But I still got like a dentist appointment and all that good stuff. And that was one of the after work things I took care of today, was going to the dentist. Spent an hour at the dentist, got a good teeth cleaning. And got the tooth checked out, and yeah, pools are just way too much work. Which I actually know how much work they are, because my family had a pool when I was a kid, which was nice for a while. Granted, the problem with, I'm not putting anything in there right now. The problem is, as a kid, I think we may have been one of the first families to get a pool. Used to have one before a gopher dug through the vinyl somehow. Oh no! Oh man, that is a terrible way to lose a pool. Man, that was the argument I was getting hit with. Was like, dental health is good, and also if you get a tooth infection, it can like get into your bloodstream, and then it's like all kinds of bad. And it's like, man, it's like, darn it, I like riding a bicycle. I should not have to worry about my cardio or my cardiovascular health. I also don't smoke cigarettes. I've never smoked cigarettes because I grew up with parents that smoked cigarettes, and just everything smelled bad all the time. But yes, we are definitely advocates for taking care of ourselves around here. But yeah, so that's kind of been like my life. Also, I spent like last weekend out of town, so the thing is, when you're a person who lives by themselves and you're not taking care of stuff at the house, nothing's getting done. So I had a lot of backed up chores, which, like, in addition to like the 2 hours picking blackberries, I had to finish folding laundry. I had to run the dishwasher, empty dishwasher. I ran up to the supermarket to get ingredients for today's stream. And yeah, I was basically busy nonstop. Wow. That's the worst part about peeling potatoes. You get slippery. But you know what? You sure betcha that I treated myself to some... I got a lot of stuff done today. Ice cream. Which you gotta really enjoy the... I got a lot of work done today. I'm gonna have ice cream now. And that's definitely one of the reasons why I actually keep ice cream in the fridge. Is just be like, okay, if I do something good today, like personally a good thing, then I get ice cream. So I got ice cream yesterday. And that's 2 out of 4 potatoes. This recipe actually calls for more potatoes, but I was like looking at the size of these guys, and I'm like, I don't need that much food. I do not need that much food. Ooh, favorite flavor? Ooh, of ice cream? Okay, so I'm a pretty die-hard vanilla fan, but the tub I bought, well, the tub I was consuming yesterday was cookies and cream. Which cookies and cream is like a really nice, like, treat yourself flavoring. Granted, if I'm just like out and about and I want to just be like, you know what, I just want to get an ice cream to get an ice cream, then my default's vanilla. Oh wow, this one's got some green. Yeah, the other parts aren't so green. Granted, we'll actually probably be doing this again soon, at least the potato peeling part, because my potatoes are about ready to be harvested, which I think, with the way things are going, well, how they're looking, man, it's so nice to just be able to turn and look outside. I think not this upcoming weekend, but the weekend after that will be when I do that stream, when we'll do the annual potato harvesting stream. But I think I'm a sure-bird head. Okay. Oh no, I'm not going to make fun of anyone's personal preferences when it comes to ice cream. As long as we can be in agreement that ice cream's good stuff. Now, if you don't like ice cream for some whatever reason, then I'm going to have to genuinely consider something being wrong with that individual. Because ice cream's just good stuff. Also, I don't have a lot of experience with the handy-dandy potato peeler. Mostly because I don't, if I'm like working with potatoes, I usually like stir fry them or like fry them up in some way. And because I do it that way, I usually leave the potato skins on. especially if it's like homegrown potatoes, because homegrown potatoes, it's like, I know the soil this was grown in, I know how this was grown. There's no chemicals used. No chemicals, no storage, there's no like quote unquote like bad stuff on them. Okay. Woo. 4 for 4. Done. Peeled. That's some of our veg. That is some of our veg. It's not all of the veg, but it's some of the veg. And we're gonna actually kind of reverse roles here. Because we're gonna have these guys. Well, actually, put these up here. The amount of times I've nicked myself with a peeler. Oh, I feel that. I don't think it's not been very often I nick myself with a peeler. I mostly do it with this tool. Or the tools in my shop. Usually tools in my shop. So we're gonna be making a soup, so I'm gonna go for reasonably chunky, reasonably goodish size potato. Well, just like sizes. And maybe do a few smaller. Just to kind of make it a little bit nicer to consume. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. Granted, can I divide these on top of each other? Because they're a little slippy slidey. Which I know I've nicked myself a couple of times with my pull saw. Like the saw will jump out of the cut and it'll like hit my sides. Well, I'll usually be like using a hand to help steady the blade. And then it jumps out of the cut. And then I have a small flesh wound. But you know what? It's a good opportunity. It's one of the few opportunities chat gets to see a VTuber's blood. Which actually, speaking about blood, I donated blood towards the beginning of last month. Oh yeah, that's awful when it hits you. Ooh, let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about those. Let's not talk about that sort of negativity. That's some serious negativity right there. I don't like to think about knives in places where they don't need to be. And I am seeing my bowl fill up, and I'm like, I am super glad I only did 4 potatoes. Because I don't have like I also don't have necessarily the largest, the biggest. You too? I donated last week. Ah, nice, nice. Yeah, I'm reasonably regular blood donor. I did my donation, I think like first week of June. But one of the cool whatever. But one of the cool things that the Red Cross does now is they actually tell me where the donation like went, like the hospital, which is cool because sometimes it goes out of state. And then other times it doesn't. Sometimes it stays local, which my most recent blood donation did stay local, but it did go to the VA hospital. Just us like, oh, okay. A veteran got my blood. That's all right. But it's also another thing that I feel like helps me take care of myself is the nice little like mini physicals you get when you donate blood, because they take like your heart rate, your blood pressure, and your like blood iron concentration, which is cool because nowadays they don't prick your fingers anymore. Because for my last 2 donations, they actually like clip. It's almost like one of those. It kind of looks like a blood oxygen thing that you'll put on like the tip of your finger, and then they'll use that. Woo! To measure how much iron's in your blood. So the Red Cross has actually done away with the finger pricking, which I do feel like it is a joke to say that the finger prick, when they prick your finger, that used to hurt more than the actual needle. Woo! Nope, we're not losing. That's what that was. Like they did 2 finger things, and I wasn't sure why they used 2 things. Ah. See, in my case, it wasn't like 2 finger things. It was like 1 finger thing. But I guess that's just a different technology. But granted, I also am just... I am just a whole blood donor. I don't actually do plasma or anything. As part of a job I used to have, I had to do finger sticks for kids. That sounds much easier. Yeah. Oh man, I can only imagine sticking kids. That would be some... Granted, I'd say it depends on the kid. Man, I love carrots. So easy. So incredibly easy. Okay. And there's so much veg. And we still have our 3rd and final veg. And technically the star of today's dish. And that's green beans. Which for these, I'm just going to be going, so it recommends like small bite-sized pieces for the soup. And this is the part of the stream where I make the dumb, hey, we're about to have a Snapchat joke. Because I've seen memes on the internet where it's just like the grandma and the kids, and they're gathered around the dinner table, and they're just snapping beans. Which, what I'm doing right now is a thing I have done many times as a young one. Especially when it comes to peas. Shelling peas, snapping beans. Especially if you're doing like canning. Which, I'm not sure if I'm going to can green beans this year. I didn't really grow a lot of green beans. I should probably also swallow my food. But yeah, I'm going to just aim to like fill up this bowl enough to get a decent amount of vegetables going. And then we'll start working on the dough for the dumplings. But yeah, also speaking about kids and needles. And since there's been the fun, like, what is it? The tell lore about yourself stories going around on the social medias. As a kid, I was getting a shot once, and I was like 2 years old. And the nurse administrating the shot instructed my mother to hold both my arms. And because I was unfazed by the needle, I had my arms relaxed. And little 2-year-old me saw when the needle was like all the way like the plunger hit the bottom. I suddenly flexed my arms, pulled one of my arms out of my mom's hand, grabbed the needle with it, and then I pulled the shot needle out of my arm when I was 2 years old. And then I took the needle I pulled out of my arm and just was like, I held it out to the nurse and was like, here, I helped you. And then according to my mom, the nurse freaked out. Because suddenly there's a 2-year-old with a weapon that she was not anticipating. Goodness gracious, this is going to be so much veg. This is going to be so much veg. But yeah, one of my early childhood experiences with needles. Granted, I just had, I don't know, I feel like my growing up was a lot like a lot of the 90s kids. Is just like, we had a wild time. It was a very positive time. It was reasonably positive. Who knows, there could have been bad stuff happening in the world, but I was a kid during those years and I didn't know about it. But I've always been like good with needles, so when I started donating blood, basically had no issues. And no issues. Other than the fact I'll like extra donate, kind of. Well, that's kind of sort of what they call it, is when you bleed a little bit after they pull the needle out. I tend to do that. I tend to have a little additional blood come out of my arm whenever I do a donation. But past that, I've had like pretty like hassle-free, like no fuss blood donations happening in my life. Except for that one time I did a blood donation and my sister threatened to kill me afterwards because I actually rode my bicycle, what was it, like I rode it 17 miles to a blood donation clinic, gave blood, and then I bicycled back home. Now granted, I did this like during what would be considered my high school years, but I think I had my license at the time. I'm not entirely sure. But after I did that, my sister was like, okay, you do this again, Sugi, I'm going to personally kill you. I'm going to revive you, and then I'm going to kill you again. I got that threat. And I was just like, ooh, man, that was a really fun time. I got like the big threat from the sister. Which was great because like on my way back, because I did take it easy, I wasn't like trying to like rush or anything. I actually stopped at a farmer's market and there was like a vendor that was doing like old school style, what's it called? Like hand turned ice cream. I got myself some like good old fashioned ice cream. It was good ice cream, by the way. Really good ice cream. Definitely would happily get some of that ice cream again. And also the green beans are really starting to overwhelm this bowl. Which also, speaking of past things in the world and in my life, I have a history with this bowl. And my history with this bowl is, whenever I was a young lad and I was not feeling well, this is the bowl that I would have by my bedside if I ever needed to toss cookies in the middle of the night. This was the growing up toss cookies into this bowl. And I'm now tossing veg into. So yeah, there's some bowl lore for you. Ooh, wait a second. Oh, that's just stray leaf. Stray leaf. I can't believe that. Oh my goodness gracious. The green beans are just overwhelming everything else in the bowl. But I'm almost out. We're almost done. Because then Well, actually, I gotta make the. I think I gotta make the dumpling. I gotta make the dough for the dumplings next, and then we can actually start cooking, because I think the recipe recommends to, because eventually we're gonna put all this vegetables into this bowl. Okay, the bowl's bigger. Never heard of that phrase before. Yeah. But yeah, some people talk about, like, if you're gonna throw up, you toss cookies. Sort of like how anime depicts vom as rainbows. Like, it's like you gotta have like a nice euphemism for it in order to actually like not get any like turning up stuff. Okay, sweet. That's veg done. Veg done. Okay, cool. So here's my mixing bowl for the dumplings. So in the bowl, mix together flour, baking powder, and salt. So let's start grabbing some of these things. Granted, this recipe is also going to do the things where, because it's having us mix the dry goods before we actually mix in the wet stuff. So that is going to be 1 cup of flour, and let's see, for the baking powder I need 2 teaspoons. So I went ahead and actually just put my baking soda in like a small glass jar. Not sure if I'm going to be using too much of this, because not sure how often I'm going to be doing baking streams. Considering my track record with dough, which is terrible. Which Dad's Little Shop knows that. And last but not least, a hair bit of salt. A little bit of salty goodness. Okay, I just need... Uh-oh. Yep, that's what happened. The bottom of the salt canister actually got wet after a previous stream, and is now it kind of formed a salt cake, and yeah, it's a little bit stiff in there, but that's fine, because we almost, well, there's not like a whole, I mean, there's a reasonable bit. I'd say it's at 20%. Okay, recipe, what do you got for me? In the bowl, mix together flour, baking soda, salt. Beat the egg and add it to the flour mixture. Stir in just enough milk to make the mixture pasty. Don't overmix your duff. Your dumplings will be tough. Note, if you mix up the dough early and let it sit while the vegetables are boiling, that's the game plan, your dumplings will be fluffier. Granted, I am liking the amount of food. It's like a little bit of this, a whole lot of this. I can live with that. Wait. Ah! So I need, got some whole milk, and some egg doodles. One egg. Back to the cooler with the rest of you. And that's one of the fun things about doing these streams is I've never really bought eggs before. Never been a big egg person. But now I need eggs. I'm just gonna go ahead and get the egg mixed in. And we'll just kind of get a bit of a mixture going, but considering I'm kicking up enough flour to create issues for my lung health, I'm gonna go ahead, open up this milk, and we're gonna throw a little bit of milk at it. Because it does suggest small amounts, so I'm just gonna follow the recipe. Which it's asking for like a pasty mix, which I'm gonna presume is something like cookie dough. Like a cookie dough-ish consistency. Ooh, I like that sound though. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah, there we go, there we go. I'm starting to get that pasty-ish consistency. See how it's kind of like tacky and firm, but it's not like too runny. Just add a little bit of milk. And there we go. I think we'll just give this a nice good mix. And that'll be the dough. If I can get the dough out of the whisk. Downside to using a whisk. Your dough will end up in the whisk. I do want to give it a little bit of extra stirring, just because I'm seeing a little bit of yellow from the egg. Okay. There we go. Another problem solved thanks to centrifugal force. Cool. So, we have our dough. That's done. I had a little bit of dough land on my arm. I gave it a bit of a taste test. I think it passes QC. Okay. So, we're kind of done here. We can actually move to our pot, which hopefully, yeah. Right, my camera does act sad sometimes, but that's not sad. So, veg goes in. Sweet, sweet, glorious veg. Oh, smokes. Well, I am pushing the limits of my pot, which, actually, I should probably get water on this. So, if you actually make like this actual recipe, you do yourself a favor and use a pot larger than what I'm doing, because my pot's way too small. And damn, I brought 2 quarts of water. I thought this would be more than sufficient water for this. I might be short. I don't know. Oh, there it's coming. There it's coming. Brandon's also coming up to the edge. Okay. Okay. Well, I certainly hope this cooks down a little bit. Okay. Let's make some fire happen. Oh, wait. And I'll turn it on. Ooh. Woo! Haha! That's big flame. You don't need a big flame for this. Get that turned down. Because we're not brewing beer today. Beer brewing does call for a big flame though. So we'll have that there. I'm gonna have my water off to the side. Dough is gonna rest, so we want to bring all of our veg to a boil. We want to bring this whole pot to a boil. Even though I'm really doubting the wisdom of bringing this to a boil, but because I don't have really good stirrability here. I have no slack in this pot. You know what? I'm not gonna hate my life. Got a jet. Hope the soup turns out good tonight. Oh, thanks. Well, have a good rest of your day, sir. Granted, I'm actually gonna cut the flames because I'm gonna do myself a favor. Thanks for the stream. See you around. Yep. And you take care. But yeah, I'm gonna actually throw on the BRB screen, and I'm actually gonna run upstairs and grab a larger pot because I know I'm gonna get into trouble if I use this one. So I'll be right back. And we're back with a larger pot. Which, when I was testing all this out and such, I had enough room for the pot I had. Now we have upgraded to a larger pot, but we can actually do this right, because I actually do have to add 2 cups of cream to this, which is gonna take up some more room. I also have to add the dough in, so actually I do need to grab spoon, some manner of spoon. But yeah, tablespoon, because actually like make like the little like dumpling balls, because you're actually just, for this, you actually aren't gonna make like, you're not gonna like package a dumpling wrap. Instead, you're just gonna have just a thing. Okay, so, but yeah, I'm gonna let this come to a boil. I'm gonna drink some water, because I want to drink some water. get to engage in the time-honored pastime of watching water boil. Granted, I do have the propane burner, and that does put out a fair amount of heat. So, I don't expect this to be a terribly long process, but and it sounds like this. I wish I actually had, like, took some, like, photos of, like, because I do, well, I took a couple of photos of some of my blackberries that, as I was harvesting them, but I actually haven't showcased, like, the whole stock that's in the fridge right now. Because right now I've got, I've got 11 pounds in the fridge. And what's probably going to happen to those blackberries is I'm going to be making some wine. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to do the whole winemaking process as streams, because wine is like one of those things where it's like you do a thing and then you wait a while, then you do another thing, and then you do a little bit, and then you do more waiting. Whereas like with beer, you have the brew day and then you have the bottle day. It's a much easier thing to do the stream. But last year when I made the blackberry wine, I had, well, the way I actually made it is, say, like in a pot like this, but much larger. I had a bag, like a mesh bag, and I filled it with my blackberries, and then I basically added water, sugar to all that mixture, and then I sanitized it. That blackberry juice bag mix thing made the stickiest, most awful mess. You cannot believe how bad of a mess that made. It made a terrible mess. And I don't want to have to clean up that mess again. I did it once, and what all this is leading up to is, for this year's blackberry wine, I'm juicing my berries. I'm going to juice all my berries, and then juice from those berries is going to be the stuff that I'm going to use as like the feedstock for the wine. Because last year was a mess. But it was a good learning experience though. And I actually haven't done a whole lot of winemaking, but it's kind of a new frontier for me. But we'll see how the wine turns out, because I started that a year ago. The wine is still conditioning. It's bottle conditioning right now. I bottled it, I think, towards the end of April was when I last actually bottled it. But it has to bottle condition for like 4 to 6 months. It takes a long time to make like blackberry wine, because like the recipes I was like looking up and such were like, yeah, congratulations, you get to do stuff for 18 months. And it's like, 18 months? I can have a beer done, ready to drink in less than 2. Wine's a terrifying thing. Granted, cider's even quicker though to make, and I do want to do that on stream. I actually really want to make cider on stream, because one of the grand themes of doing what I'm doing is getting myself to try new stuff, and part of this is trying a new recipe. Well, today, and then other days it's going to be actually trying out new processes, like cider making. But cider making is also like really easy. Like the hardest part of making cider is actually just turning the apples into apple juice, and because you can literally just take apple juice, add yeast to it, and it's gonna make cider. Cider is super easy, super straightforward to make, or at least that's what everyone online says. Everyone who's made it before. I'm not one of the people who've made it before. This is actually really starting to get real close to a nice good simmer, nice good cook. Granted, also, like, this is like reflective, my spoon, and I'm seeing the reflection in my like new windows of my garage door, and it's like, I see something like shimmering, and I think it's like outside, and it's like, no, it's just me. Now, I have thought about maybe potentially doing like putting up some sort of like frosted coating or something, potentially, because of, you know, who knows, maybe eventually I will want to like not have people like looking in or something or whatever, but I am also curious to see if if birds hit the windows, because if I'm like doing work or whatever, like here in the shop, it is pretty often that birds will just fly into the shop, and then they fly around the shop for a little while, and then they're eventually like, you know what, this guy's using power tools and we don't like the noises the power tools make, so we're gonna leave. But yeah, that's the thing that happens. I just hope they don't like hit the windows. I don't want the birds to get hurt. But goodness gracious, a bird nearly hit me yesterday. Because I was like in the blackberries, I was in the thick of it, I was gathering my berries, and like I had my like hand, I had like my hand out, and I had like a bird just shoot straight alongside my hand, and just like dive into the blackberry bush. It was just like, whoa, buddy, you're getting a little bit too close to me with that. But yeah, that was a fun, exciting thing that happened, yesterday, while I was picking blackberries. I wonder if I should have just started this sooner. I probably should have actually just went ahead and actually started boiling vegetables when I was mixing the dough. And this is actually boiling up quite nicely, and I'm not too worried about getting a good simmer or anything. Granted, the question is going to come down to how long do I want it to simmer for. And I'm thinking about 15 minutes or so. Long enough to really like cook the vegetables, kind of get them soft, because we're gonna... Well, actually, wait a second. Boil vegetables until fork tender. I need to grab a fork. Then drain off about half the water and add 2 cups whole cream. Simmer, but do not boil. Okay. Oh yeah, I'm also supposed to add salt for taste at this point. Which also supposedly, according to the internet, salt's good for helping the boil actually get going. I know a lot of like dried pasta, like if you're following the directions on the pasta, actually calls for adding a little bit of salt to the water. Granted, in our case, we have a lot of salt. Well, not a lot of salt, but a lot of water. I'm really glad that, because one of the things I was debating about doing before stream was whether or not I decide to have a snack, because I was actually pretty hungry during my dentist appointment, but I opted to not do a snack before stream because I wasn't I'm not unfunctionally hungry, which if you've been really, really, really hungry to the point where your blood sugar just tanks, that's being hungry to the point where you're not super functioning. Okay, and the boil has begun, which I think I should probably go ahead and start backing off the heat a little bit, just because I don't want it to get like too hot. Well, I don't want too frothing of a boil. I want a nice boil, but I don't want like all the boil. But yeah, we're gonna just let that boil. Oh yeah, fork tender. And fork required. Done. Fork, I have. So, now we just get to watch vegetables boil. Hey now, don't be getting violent with me. But yeah, this is actually probably gonna make enough food for me for like easily a couple of days. Easily a couple of days. Goodness gracious. Oh, wait a second. Yep, this is gonna make the shop warm. Because I think when I started out, like, stream, the shop was probably at like 66 degrees Fahrenheit, and right now we have moved up to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, so. Granted, I am not brewing beer right now because that's gonna really crank the temperatures. And I do not like how frothy of a boil this is. That is a like really frothy boil. We do not need a boil like that. Granted, I'm definitely a guy who needs all the water I can get. Ugh. Ugh. Yeah. This is now the fun, like, wait around and hang out part. Oh. Do you have, like, any inspiring topics for me? I don't think so. That's what I was thinking. Oh, yeah! So far, the grapes are doing pretty well. In, like, my front yard grapes, I do generate enough blackberries to make wine. That's because blackberries grow really well and reproduce like mad where I live. But for grapes, I only have one grapevine, so I don't usually see the production for grapes to be enough to the point where I typically don't like get enough grapes to actually like make wine. Even though the variety I'm growing could be used to make wine. But the grapes are also coming along. And that's actually kind of one of the nice things about the blackberries coming into the season, because holy smokes, do birds tear up my grapes. Birds get into my blackberries too, but the blackberry pressure is not as great as the grape pressure, because when a bird eats a grape, it kills the grape completely. If a bird gets into a blackberry, because a blackberry fruit is basically like a big fruit made of a bunch of small fruits, the birds will eat like the individual bits, but not like, they rarely eat the whole thing, and the berry's still salvageable. And personally, in my opinion, when I see a berry that's been like pecked at like that, that just means that berry is like bird approved for consumption. Woo! I've got this turned down. Can we get a hair bit more turned down? How do you like that? Can we get a slightly more gentle simmer out of you? That's what I would like. Is like something reasonable. Which I suppose that's not too bad right there, but We can live with that. We can live with that. But yeah. Actually, when I started growing blackberries, I started out with 4 plants. I cannot count the number of plants I have now. Granted, I have 3 good-sized blackberry growing areas, which being good-sized, they're like, let's see, they're like about 3 to 4 feet across and like width by 25 feet long. Pretty good area. Pretty good amount of area. It's actually, blackberries have actually taken a pretty good amount of area in terms of having less grass to cut, because unfortunately, that is the thing I have to worry about, and that's technically something I should worry about sooner rather than later, but I decided to stream today, and I also decided that picking blackberries is more important than mowing the yard, and picking blackberries is definitely more important than mowing the yard, because blackberries are money, whereas grass does not really yield any value to me other than the fact that it's a pain in the butt, as far as like a maintenance perspective. Because if I could not get away with not maintaining my grass, I would happily do so. I would happily do so. And that's actually one of my like big things I would like to do one of these days. Well, I am kind of kicking around some plans. Plans to take my have less grass to the next level. And I'm thinking about talking about that, like doing a whole like stream thing around it, but it might be a little too ambitious for me. So I'm probably not going to be. I'm currently thinking of not doing it, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. I might get hit with some ambition or something. Honestly, if life could just like light up with keeping me busy, then I would be golden. Then I'm golden. Because if life could ease up. Rock garden? Oh man. I do like the aesthetics of a rock garden, but the thing is like a rock garden also requires maintenance. In the sense of you gotta, because like plants will find anywhere to grow. Whereas when you have like yard, you can just be like, yard, I can just nuke this. Typically I do that with either a weed eater or a mower. Whereas with like a rock garden, I would actually have to be a little bit more least size subtle. Or like hand weed it or something. Well, those will kind of be my options. I just wish I had like area that I could get away with not maintaining, which I actually do have a little bit of that area. Because I have my black maple tree. It casts pretty good shade, and I actually mulch under it, like the better part of the tree. And that area is my lowest maintenance area as far as the front yard is concerned. And that's basically the long-term game plan for the yard, is to get closed canopy forest, and I don't have to like actually mow grass, because grass doesn't grow any well because it gets all shaded out. Now granted, I've also been a little bit particular about how I've planted my trees to make sure areas where I want to get lots of sun can still get sun. And granted, I also still have to maintain a 5-foot grass buffer around the perimeter of my whole property, per local ordinances. Like there's a certain amount of grass upkeep that I'm just obligated to do so because of the powers that be. Ooh, those potatoes are actually softening up. I don't think they're like fork tender though. Ooh, they're getting there. They're really getting there. Okay, cool. So, looks like I will be on track because I think we'll let this simmer for like 5 more minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and also turn down the heat. But yeah, I'd kind of just, goodness gracious, I would love it if I could just have like a wildflower meadow that I would only mow, say, once or twice a year. Maybe do like a spring mowing and then a fall mowing. While ahead, you put the green beans at the same time as the root veg. Yeah, the recipe honestly just said like, just throw everything in the pot and boil the vegetables. Yeah. Yep, that's what the recipe calls for. Yeah, granted, you're right. The root veg should have been done first with the green beans. Probably go ahead and boil the root veg for an extra 5-7 minutes versus the green beans. Granted, I don't think the green beans are gonna get like too bad. But we'll just try one right now and see how we'll go ahead and try this one out. Very old-fashioned. You know what? That green bean was actually reasonably tough. So it's not like green bean did not go soft on me. So, you know what? I'm gonna take it. Because these are still kind of like early-ish green beans. Because I have snacked on them a couple of times, and they're still very tender. But that just now, it was good. I definitely say I got like the right amount of salt in here, like enough where there's like no flavor. Well, the salt's not like overpowering or anything. You can kind of just tell it's there. That sort of like level of flavor. But yeah. I usually get okay-ish results when I follow directions, so I'm gonna follow directions until I get, unless directions just say something like, oh, that's not gonna happen. Or if I'm making recipes from anime, and anime tends to abridge recipes quite often. A lot of details get left out, which is deeply unfortunate because I would really like to. I would like to cook more recipes from Eurocamp, even though, because the thing is with like recipes in Eurocamp is there's definitely like you add these ingredients in this order, but they don't necessarily tell you the amount of those ingredients. You have to eyeball them. Which I did make the guilt-ridden yakisoba from Eurocamp, which that turned out really good, by the way. Really, really good. Really happy with how that one turned out, but it did make a lot of food, though. It made a lot of food. And it's like, oh yeah, in the episode they made it, it was like a whole camp of like 5 campers. Well, for like 5 people. They're splitting it like 5 ways, so of course one person would consider it like a lot of food. Which is kind of like the great downside of me like doing recipes and such is like, I'm just trying to cook for one guy. And sometimes these recipes are like, yeah, you can feed a family like this. Like there's enough food here to feed a whole family. For one meal. Maybe not for like multiple meals, but easily one meal. There's easily a meal of food here. Which we are nearly at the magical time. Oh, okay. Okay. I got a slight whiff of propane, and I was like, is my flame still burning? And I checked, flames are still burning. But yeah. So we're gonna drain off a portion of this water, set it to the side, and then we'll add the whole cream, and that just simmers for a while, I think. Top of the hot soup, cover the kettle, let dumplings steam for like 10 minutes. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna go have fun with this. Which, actually, I should probably need to make my life a little bit easier here with the slotted spoon. Which is fun if I lose some veg. Ooh, it smells good though. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna call that like half the water. So with that, I can grab my little canister of cream, which coincidentally turns out I need 2 cups of cream for this, which is coincidentally the whole amount in the container. Which I love it when stuff works out this way. Ah, yeah, there we go. Oh yeah, that's gonna be very nice. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get all that cream in there. I'm gonna put this off to the side. We're gonna give this a stir. Just kind of like mix everything in. We still have a nice bit of flame happening. And then I coincidentally also have... I did lose some green beans. Granted, with the slotted spoon, I can just fish the beans out. Pretty easy, pretty simple, straightforward. Hey, don't be hissing at me like that. But yeah, I'm gonna play fish. I'm gonna fish for green beans for a little while. And then once I'm done fishing my green beans out, then we can start actually start dropping dumplings in. Okay, there we go. Nice. Nice. So I'm gonna grab my spoon, and I'm just gonna... I think I'm gonna make them a little bit bigger than this, but just get like little dumpling balls. Yeah, actually. Yeah. We'll do like a little... That's all this recipe calls for, is like making like dough ball, like doughish balls of dough. Which I know sounds like a little too stating the obvious. Brand tastes good. Tastes really good. These might actually turn out pretty good. I'm getting optimistic. Even though they might turn out a little malformed, but I'm just going to chalk that up to my experience with dough. Granted, I'm wondering why this dough tastes sweet, because there's no sugar in it. But it does have a bit of a sweet taste to it. Bloop. And will I have enough room for all the dough? Should. Worst case scenario, I can make room. Oh. Bloop. Okay. Oop. Don't want that to fall. So I think after this one, I have enough dough left for one more dumpling. So let me grab my bowl and give it a good once over with a spoon. And done. Where's my lid? Hello, lid. And boom. Okay. So we now have what essentially amounts to a 10-minute timer. Starting from now. And then at the end of this 10-minute timer, we're gonna have food. Which the dough ball should steam in about, it says it steams in like 10 minutes. But I might check on it. Honestly, let's not worry about checking on it. We're just gonna let it do its thing. We're gonna let it do its thing. It should turn out pretty good. Granted, I really do need to. I am really worried about the color correction on this camera. But okay, so the camera that I like, the camera that I have that has better color balance is like it's a Sony Alpha 6000, whatever. I've had issues with it dying on stream, and I actually literally just found out about this stuff over the weekend, is you can basically get a thing that's like a dummy battery that you can put into the camera, and then take the other end and plug it into a USB port, and then it just powers the camera all the time. That Amazon package arrived right before the stream. Well, I wouldn't say it arrived right before the stream, but when I was picking green beans earlier, I checked the front porch and there was a package there, so hopefully I'll have some time tomorrow to test it out and and I can get that camera up and running for Thursday stream? That stream. Yes, Thursday. So hopefully that works out. And if it works well, as far as like solutions, that's probably going to be my main streaming camera. Whereas the current one I'm using is probably going to get relegated to being a backup. Or because there's a couple of times where I've kind of been thinking about, for some of my other stuff, especially like a woodworking project, is using basically having like 2 camera angles. And then I can switch between the camera angles depending on like what's going on. Because it would be kind of fun if I'm using the table saw to actually get some of those really nice like side views. Whereas I generally do a lot of these streams in a top-down view. And just being able to kind of have side view and also top and down and switch between them. Because I have actually, wait a second. Let's experiment. Okay, well that didn't I thought changing the level of lighting might change the color balance a little bit, and it did not. Well, this goes to show I know nothing about color balancing. Which is also true. I don't know a lot about that. Because one of my friends has recommended DaVinci Resolved as far as like a video editing software, and apparently the color correction features on it are really good. Yeah, I would need to know how to use those features to be able to use them good, and that's not necessarily the case. So, granted, I also have to spend time working on learning video editing software, but I am, well, so as far as things are concerned right now, is my upcoming Saturday. I'm gonna try and knock out building the second EPA woodshed. Now, if I was just gonna be building the woodshed, I know for a fact I can knock it out in a day, no problem. But I'm also wanting to record lots of B-roll and record all the various parts, and I want to make a proper how-to video, how to build the EPA woodshed. Because my first video on that was honestly anything but great. It still got like over 90 views, so I'm not going to complain about that. But definitely could. It's definitely not one of my finer works, or really anything I can be proud of, which is kind of where I want to get to as far as like doing stuff here on the channel, is like doing stuff I'm actually like really proud of. Because generally speaking, I do the things I do for the reasons of I want to see a VTuber do these things. Like I just like really like Handcam streams, and I like cooking. I like seeing people do stuff. And also one of my motivations for doing this is also expanding my skill set. So yeah, I'm working on the mess that is me, but also just trying to make stuff I want to watch. And I feel like at times I'm close to where I want to be as far as like being a VTuber and such, but still not quite 100% there. But I'm getting closer all the time. I feel like some decent innovations have been the dual mic setup, which seems to have worked out pretty good. Hopefully with this dummy battery, I'll have a much better webcam that doesn't make my shop look like the aftermath of nuclear fallout or something. But hopefully slowly but steadily get things like looking better and better. So I try to improve, but it's definitely a little challenging with, once again, like how busy life's been. Life has been far, far too busy. But granted, I also need to, we're actually here. I need to consider recipes for potato recipes, because I reckon about 2 weeks from now I'll be harvesting potatoes, and as part of the potato harvesting stream, I want to cook with them. Now, I've never made mashed potatoes from scratch with potatoes, so that's one of my front runners as far as I think you're doing well. Growth takes time. Well, it's not so much a growth thing, because honestly, if I'm being honest in terms of like growth, I've been like really happy with things over like the past few months. Like, never really expected anything like the numbers I currently do. But it's just like when I watch my VODs, I want to also be like, yeah! I want to be like personally proud of what I make and what I do. That first EPA woodshed video is okay for the amount of effort I put in it, but I want to put a little bit more effort into that thing and get a better product out of it. And it's just, why do I try to hold myself to such high standards? And I don't even really think it's like, because, and I do know this has come through on a lot of things I've done. The whole concept of perfect is the enemy of done. I don't believe in that whatsoever. I am fully willing to get something done even if it's not perfect. But I want to be. I want to be better. True. I mean, like, yeah. Well, yeah. Professional growth. Yeah. Now that is the nail on the head hit firmly, which actually we've. Ooh, wait. Because I don't want to take this off without a glove, because this might be a little toasty. But yeah, we've had 10 minutes. Ooh, look at that. Ooh. That looks good. Does it smell good, though? Ooh, yeah, that smells good. That smells really good. Let's see. Hey, recipe. Let the dumpling steam for 10 minutes. Dumpling tops will be dry to the touch when they're done. Okay. Oh, instructions. I love it. Okay. They seem kind of dry, but not like super dry. So I'm gonna let those sit for. I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit longer. Continue to let it simmer. Continue to let those like dumplings like cook. But we're really close now. We're really close. But yeah. I mean, I can definitely say I've improved in a lot of things since my time starting doing this, and that's been fun. That has been real fun. I'm definitely a lot more sociable now than what I was when I started, because goodness gracious. Granted, another thing I do need to like make more of an effort for is actually showing up in other people's chats and actually do that whole networking thing. Need to work on that. That's actually a big needs improvement. But otherwise, like, I mean, things are generally moving in the direction that I want them to move in. Granted, I did, and also speaking of moving things in a direction I want them to move in, is over this weekend I ordered a new laptop. And the reason I ordered a laptop is I want to spend. That's a muscle. You can work that out. Yes, that's exactly the mindset to go about it. But yeah, I spent way too much money on a laptop, so that way we can actually do like a little bit more stuff, like out in the yard. Because I'm thinking with a laptop, it shouldn't be too difficult for me to have my mics, iPhone tracking. I should be able to make that reasonably portable. And then I can use the laptop's monitor for my main monitor, because it's pretty much going to be like Handcam streams. Because one of my big things I have wanted to do is I've wanted to do a tree pruning stream. That's going to happen, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. Cool ideas. It's a cool idea. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely want to actually like get out and do some more stuff in like the garden and such, because yeah, these blackberries I like to not necessarily say the nicest things about. Yeah, it would be nice to just be like, hey chat, we're gonna abuse the hell out of these blackberries, and by that I mean we're gonna be pruning the hell out of them, and actually like do some like other like homesteady content. Granted, I like how when I take that lid off, it actually kind of gets the color balance like reasonably normal. Okay, so ooh, wow, that's actually, ooh, wow, it's actually reasonably dried up. Okay, I'm actually gonna cut the heat off, because this is reasonably good. My dad left me a laptop I needed to get repaired. I was gonna use it to stream blacksmithing. Yeah! Oh man, that's gonna be really exciting. Good old blacksmithing stream. Okay, I need a ladle. I'm actually going to probably let this simmer. Wait, did one of my pieces of dumpling just explode? I believe it exploded. But yeah, that's going to be really fun. That's going to be really fun. I'm actually really looking forward to when you finally have the bellows done and you actually start doing the blacksmithing stuff, because as a youngster, I played with fire a lot, and it was really fun to stick metal into the fire and see it get like red hot. And I actually did. I spent like, gosh, how long did I spend on this? I spent like the better part of a morning, like 4 hours, and I actually melted down aluminum cans and then poured it and then made a hunk of aluminum from aluminum cans, which I still have that hunk of aluminum, by the way. I have experimentally done some metallurgy as a kid, but nothing really ambitious. But maybe one of these days I'll probably get around to it. Now, I am definitely very experimental when it comes to food. Which, we're going to scoop out one of these dumplings. It's like, because these are the things I'm most curious about. I am really curious about this whole steaming a ball of dough and how that makes like cooked thing. Actually, ladle can rest there. That sounds like peak 90s kids activity. We only melted beer cans and campfires. Yeah. My cans were actually soda, because I did this at my grandparents' house and beer did not exist there. Unless my dad was visiting and he brought some with him. Oh. We got a dumpling. I'm gonna crack this bad boy open. So I'm curious if it's cooked, like all the way through. Which, okay. Oh wait. But yeah, there's that. Oh wow. It's got like a nice fluffy texture to it. Okay. Huh. Okay. Well, I have my doubts about this, but you know what? It's food. It's good food. Granted, I'm gonna... Now, one of my debates is how I'm gonna store this. Because I'm thinking I might put the dumplings in a different... That's a Pennsylvania Dutch style meal for sure. Yeah. Oh man, green beans are cooked through and delicious though. Oh man, those are actually some good cooked green beans. Oh man, I could make this better with pepper, but you know what? That's an addition I can save for the leftovers though. Granted, I do really like the Pennsylvania Dutch comment. So, one of the reasons why beer did not exist around my grandparents' house is my grandparents were religious. And they hailed from, well, their religious denomination was All German Baptist Brethren, is the name of the denomination. And it's actually one of the denominations in the Amish Mennonite side of the church. Like my grandma dresses in a very Amish style. One of my jokes about the brethren is they're basically Amish people, but with cars and electricity. Still don't have internet. Actually has access to computers, which my grandma has a machine that runs Windows XP that I think college age, no, high school age me played a lot of Space Cadet pinball. Oh, hey, my mother-in-law was raised Mennonite, small word. Yeah. But yeah, like, the brethren side of the family is just, like, wild to me. Because, like, my grandma's family is, like, massive. I mean, grandpa's side's pretty good size, but grandma's is crazy. Like, crazy. Like, I actually got a scrapbook. Well, it was an actual book. Well, it's an actual book based off a scrapbook. Because there were so many requests. The XP pinball, yeah! Good old Space Cadet pinball. Probably one of the best free games on the computer. Because that was actually genuinely fun. But yeah, this book I got, it was themed around her parents. So it's like all about like their various like history and such. And like where they've moved around and different things like that. Because they used to live in Wisconsin for a while. And then they moved to Indiana. But yeah, it's basically their history. And then towards the end of the book is facts about them. And, well, they had 10 kids. One of those 10 kids is my grandma. They had 41 grandchildren, which my dad was one of the 41 grandchildren. And then for the great-grandkid generation, which is my generation, ooh, there's the mic over there. I'm one of 172 great-grandkids. Massive family. Her side of the family is massive. Just because, like, they all do farming, and they all need hands to run farms, and thankfully my parents had the same amount of kids, like 2. So I'm gonna get a little bit more extra stuff here. Because I need to find a potato. There we go. Here's a potato. So I really want to try the carrots, because carrots be good. Carrots be really good. Yep, real nice and tender. Really good. Falls apart in your mouth. Those are well-cooked carrots. And potatoes are pretty good. The flavor of the various other veg has melded well throughout. There's a nice creaminess from the whole milk cream. Otherwise, pretty solid. Really solid. Woo! Oh my goodness. Okay. It's really good. It's actually really good. Like, there's not really a lot of like flavor complexity here. I definitely think this could be, I could probably, a little bit of salt, a little bit more salt would be good. And I also think if I cooked after, when I did add the whole cream, add, let's say 2, because this is a lot of food. add like 2 tablespoons of butter. That would have been really good. But as far as it is, a recipe from a seed catalog, it's solid. It's really solid. And I mean, because here's like the recipe like right here, which actually I can not have that in your guys' face. A little bit not in your face here. But yeah, this is all that's there to it. And coincidentally, the green beans I used were the Emperor's green beans. These were the ones I ordered. And I know I ordered them because whenever I flip through the seed catalog and I'm like just browsing, I always fold over the corners of my pages so that way I can just like reference them later. Because I'll like go through and then I fold corners and then it's like I mark out stuff that I actually want to like buy. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up because hey, it was a good day, got good food. I actually just want to kind of let this food, I really need to let this cool down before I consume more. And granted, I get the ultimate accompaniment to any food, and that's a beer. Granted, this is a beer because it's a weekday. Don't need alcoholic beer all the time. But man, I love an A beer. It's great because it's like I can abstain from alcohol but get that good old beer flavor. So I'm gonna go ahead and formally bring all this to a close. So thank you very much to everyone who tuned in. We made green bean dumpling soup. I am genuinely surprised how well it turned out. I definitely think if I were to redo this again, I would try to have an actual proper steamer, like insert to hold the dumplings up, because the sides of the dumplings that were like actually like touching into the soup broth, those are definitely a bit softer and not as like cooked through, but otherwise it's good. It's food, and this is very simple stuff. So simple stuff made out of garden fresh produce, because I literally picked these green beans like 3 hours ago. So I'm gonna go ahead and spin off some food, kind of clean up a little bit, hopefully get ready for the next stream. So next stream Thursday, same time. We're gonna actually be working. Well, wait a second. Do I gotta have it out? No, of course I don't. No, because unfortunately my shop's a mess right now because I had to move a bunch of stuff for the garage door people. But we're gonna work on restoring the Worthington hand plane that I have. So that's gonna be then. And with this, I'd like to say, whether it's evening, day, or night, whatever it is, wherever you are at, I hope you have a good one. And this is Sugi Yamagawa, and I'll see you around. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.